Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Second Life After 40.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day.
Today, we are in conversation with Praveena, a writer and educator from Chennai who has spent over 20 years working with stories as a journalist, author, editor, and mentor. She's the mother of two children as well, so quite evidently, she juggles between many roles and worlds.
Her work has appeared in publications such as the Times of India and the Hindu, and her short fiction has received international recognition, including a commendation with the Commonwealth Short Story Prize. Her debut novel, Karuppu, a young adult fantasy, came out in 2023. She also curates literary platforms like Madras Mixture and Arts Illustrated and leads creative writing workshops and mentors emerging writers from across the country.
So, with full eagerness, let's dive into her life journey with worlds and storytelling and listen about how they have changed or evolved in her second life.
So let's sit this through together with a cup of coffee because we all know life's not slowing down and neither are we. Hey, Pra, thank you for joining us today. It's been uh, a while that we had some interactions and we are good with moving with this episode in a full-fledged manner. So, not waiting too long, we just got to jump to the first question, and it's something about self reflection, where we're looking at what surprised you most about getting older at this uh, stage in life.
So, first of all, I don't agree that I'm older. So that's a standard joke in my house and for those around me. In fact, my students, when I was teaching full time in a school, my students removed the word old and they changed it to perfect. So they said, "You're becoming more perfect." I said, "Yeah, oh, exactly." So I said, "That's a very nice way to look at it." But I think, I mean, honestly, what surprised me about getting older were actually two things. One is that I think mentally, I don't think I am 44 because as you grow up, you kind of, you look at 44 as the age of your friends' parents, of, aunties and uncles. So for a long time, actually, it was just that mindset which was very hard for me to come to terms with, that I was 44. I mean, I am 44, and it's it's basically to see that, okay, you're not 20 anymore, you're not 25 anymore, you're not 30 anymore, and to also look back now in time and perhaps be a little kinder in my gaze to the various mothers and aunts and uncles around me, which I was so quick to judge and say, oh, so old. I think maybe now I'm a little kinder in how I look at age itself. I think I'm very careful now about what I say. I don't very easily say that this person is old. I actually I try to say, when I was 30, I thought this was old, but it's not. You know what I mean? So I think that for me has been a huge shift in mindset now that I am also the age that I thought was old. So that's one. And the second thing I think that surprised me, especially post the 40s, I feel some kind of a shift happens after the 40s. And I don't know whether it's for women something different and for men something different. Because for women, it's also got to do with our bodies and our hormones, and we sort of enter this whole stage of perimenopause. So there's a lot of things happening physical bodies. But I feel after the 40s there is this intention that comes where you really really don't want to please the world anymore. You there is this freedom, there is this kind of liberation from societal pressure, from societal perceptions. And by this, I mean, I am also part of that same society, right? So even how I view myself, even how I am perceiving myself, there is a liberation that comes, I feel, after the 40s. And I think you become just a little bit more courageous, a little bit more fearless. a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
more, adventurous in some ways. And I sometimes wonder whether this also has to do with mortality in some ways, because I keep thinking about that as well. Oh, now that I'm, this age,
Hmm.
uh,
Mm.
if there is this feeling that, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I have only limited time, and what can I do with this time, and how can I be better at this time? So all the extra riffraffs, they just fall off, Then you're like,
Mm.
actually don't want to waste my energy on things that really don't matter. And can I use this energy on something that actually matters? So I think these two
Nice.
things
Yeah.
have been like huge shifts for me, especially after I turned 40. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, just on a tangent, right? My niece, who's just turned 18, she keeps saying or kept saying that and any one of us, we were all getting oldie and moldy. So I can imagine when you say that. Yeah, it feels that all the body changing and things like that. The others start maybe looking at us differently, but we ourselves kind of feel a bit different as well. And that reminds me when you said that all the riffraffs go away and then you become more confident, or you just are a bit more assured of yourself. A joke by one of the British comedians, right? He apparently was learning to drive at first time at this age, right? And the car sort of stalls as you go, right? Because you're not changing the gears properly or whatnot. And so at one point, somebody behind him honked. And when you're 18, you get scared and you don't know what to do. But this guy was like, I was so calm. I just opened the door, got out, went to him and said, you know how to drive for 30 years, not me. I'm learning it. You better keep quiet. And I walked back in and I then started off, right? So that's the confidence, right? You
Yeah.
just are so sure of yourself, and then you just want to get on with doing what matters. So absolutely, no, that's, I think a lot of us do feel that, which is, yeah, that was a good.
Do you call yourself perfect now and not old anymore?
I'm becoming more perfect, double, as the years go by.
Two more perfect.
And does this this kind of a perfectionism, or not perfectionism, it's still not that you're there yet, but calling yourself perfect, does it surprise you in a good way? And when was the last time that you get surprised on that as well?
Um, I think, I mean, of course, it started out as a joke for sure, the whole thing about being perfect. And I think in some ways I still view it as a joke, because I haven't really, in many ways, I haven't really chased perfection in general, right?
Okay.
And I think perhaps that comes with the territory of being a writer, because as part of, I'm also a professional. My day job is also writing. I write fiction. So writing is not a hobby for me as it is for many people, but it is a craft. It is a professional undertaking for me. And so there's a lot of my life where you already know what you're writing is not great. You already know that it can't ever get to a point where it's great,
Okay.
because that simply doesn't exist. And you also have to finish something and let it go. So I think this
Mm,
practice of finishing, even if it's imperfect, and letting it go is just part of my life in general. So I don't think I've actually ever looked at perfection in that lens, where I look at perfection as a pressured space. But I do look at perfection as something that if I'm doing a job or if I'm writing something, then am I doing it to the best of my ability? That for me is more a definition of
mm,
perfection than being like the end product being this
Correct.
excellent version of
right.
Yeah,
whatever the world is
it's
demanding.
about the journey itself in that way.
Yes, and
Yeah.
each time you can actually do it better and better, right?
Yeah.
So each time
Mm,
you surprise yourself, because each time you learn, oh my God, I didn't get that right last time. So, okay, I'll get another chance and I'll try again. And then you actually don't try immediately, right?
Yeah.
You reflect and then you do the same thing again. And then once you recognize the
mm,
pattern, you change it. And then you feel good about yourself and you say, okay, maybe I got something right. And now I can go to the next thing which I'm not getting right.
Correct.
So I feel
Mm,
like perhaps that has been a surprise for me, is to discover my own imperfections, not in an intellectual manner, which of course,
mm,
again, I knew as a writer, okay, these are my, weaknesses.
Correct.
But in a very, very practical manner, in a very living life manner,
Mm.
what are my
mm,
imperfections and how can I, make them a little better than what they are? Not into perfections, but just I can work on it, you
Yeah.
know?
mm,
It's a very good analogy because all these years I've been trying to learn guitar, and now I found something that helped me to at least give me kind of some confidence to say, okay, I am able to sing along. Till then, I was
mm.
struggling, and then I was always thinking about I'm kind of wrong somewhere in the process, and then I just realized, okay, it was just simple correction there, which needed, and it wasn't about being perfect at it, like you said. It was just like, okay, you're getting wiser at it, so let's just admit that
Mm.
and then move on with it. So I
Yeah,
think it worked well that way.
yeah. And I also
True.
feel
Yeah.
that after a certain age, I also do feel that we do become kinder with ourselves,
Correct.
We are, I don't think I was like this in my 20s or my
Very
30s
true.
for that matter. And I did chase that illusion of perfection some part of my life, right?
Hmm.
But I think with age, I really do think there is a kindness and there is something which is something that tempers my own gaze on my own self,
Yeah.
where I am actually saying it's okay, this much is fine, and there is nothing more you have to, this is enough,
Yeah.
like, I am enough, this is enough, is actually you reach that point.
Right.
And not that I become complacent saying, yeah, this is fine, this is enough, but just an acceptance and acknowledgement of the fact that, okay, you tried, you got till there,
Mm.
that's great.
Yeah.
Now you can ask yourself, do I want to go further or do I want to stop there? It's just a
Mm.
little bit of a understanding, I feel.
Yeah.
Uh,
You go
with
more
Yeah. Yeah.
inward. You go more inward than outward, rather.
Yeah, you do. But there is also a reflection because I'm
Correct.
going inward. The reflection is also on my outward, right? I
Yes.
behave differently because I have a better understanding of something.
Yeah.
Not,
Mm.
not
Correct.
everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
some.
Nice.
Yeah. Strive for better effort than the better end product.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you're referencing your journey as a writer. Can you give a bit more of an insight into, you know, what did you do to, from your 20s and 30s that you say, you now feel that was something that good I did that is helping me now. And then if you look forward another 20 years, what are you doing now that, that may help you look back later to say, good that I changed my track, or, I did these
You
things
pivoted
that
rather.
helped me. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back a little further, Sujay, because I think for me, this whole journey of becoming a writer or being a writer, of course, started
Mm.
when I was very, very young, because I was and I still am a very voracious reader. And I
Mm-hmm.
love, I mean, my house is full of books. My whole childhood was full of books. I remember at one point in my teens, I had about 1,000 books in my house.
Pra is
Because
like a story itself.
yeah, because I also like to buy and collect books,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
That was something I like.
Nice.
So it's not that I've read a book, I don't need it. Even if I've read it,
Mm.
I still want it. So it's been a long process for me. So I've always maybe known somewhere that
Mm-hmm.
eventually I'm going to get there. Eventually I will also write and I will also have books out there and I will also tell stories. But the
Nice.
way I got there was, it went in all many
Mm.
directions. But to answer your question, what I did in my 20s and 30s, primarily perhaps in my 20s, is that because I started out as a journalist, because
Mm-hmm.
if you have to be a writer and make money, then that's where you begin. So
Right.
I started as a journalist, and I think that experience, because I was a journalist for quite a while, in some ways maybe I still am. It
Mm.
allows you to first look for stories in the ordinary. So I think I
Mm-hmm.
learned to look at my world itself as stories, right? Every
Right.
day has a story, every moment has a story, every landmark has a story. And as a
Yes.
journalist, you go and ask, you look for the story, you interview people, and this rich experience of interviewing so many, 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 many people uh,
Mm-hmm.
has really helped in understanding the world better.
Hmm.
Because when you understand the world better, you actually become a better writer. If you don't have something
Right.
to say, then there is nothing to say. And if
Hmm.
you're not really living life, and if you're not engaging with life, then you sort of run on an empty tank. For
Hmm.
some time you can write because you've read so much, and you sort of, you'll copy some style, you'll copy the writers that you like, and everybody does that. Everybody goes through that. But after that
Hmm.
is your own, and if you're not filling up your cup
Hmm.
what you are
Right.
experiencing in the world, and
Yeah.
experiencing with curiosity, with warmth, with interest, and not just, okay, I need a story done, and all right, I need 400 words, and that's it. I'm done now. I got 400 words. You can stop talking. You go home. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yes.
And many times as a journalist, when you're running on a deadline, actually mentally, I already know when I've got my 400 words, but I
Hmm.
can't stop the conversation.
Hmm.
So you keep the conversation going.
Okay.
And
Right.
most times I've discovered that actually what I thought was the 400 word story came after
Hmm.
it stopped and the conversation continued.
Correct.
And
Right.
we learn like
Yeah.
that. So I do think that has been my richest resource.
Hmm.
And even now, I continue to edit a couple of magazines, and I'm still writing stories. I'm still interviewing people because I really, really do love it and enjoy it. Uh, Also because it
Hmm.
it helps me sort of see myself better because
Yeah.
I see somebody else.
Hmm.
When I can look at somebody else's story,
You can
one,
refer to it.
you
Hmm.
you always feel, oh, I'm not alone,
Hmm.
and that's what books give you, right? You
Yeah.
read books
Yes.
because you already know you're not unique or alone in
Hmm.
your experiences. There are many people who've been through this.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
the same thing when you talk to people. So you
Hmm.
find out that, okay, somebody else has the same journey as me, but you also find out, wow, how different is that
Yeah.
journey? and and how different is mine. And so you can either feel grateful that, okay,
Hmm.
I'm glad that I had a different journey, or you can feel, I wish I had that journey, or you can feel, there are so many emotions you can
Yes.
go,
Absolutely.
and you grow with that. So I definitely think this part of my life has been a very good base for me, and it has been a good foundation for me to build my whole writing career on.
Hmm.
Am I doing now for the next 20 years, which is what it was? I think this again has shifted for me in my 40s. I don't actually think that far ahead. I think
Hmm.
now I'm only going day by day. So I just look at what can I do today for my tomorrow to work,
Hmm.
and really that's the only timeline I'm
Got it.
looking at.
Yeah.
And
Right.
sometimes things add up, and then
Hmm.
then of course the gift of retrospection is that you can look back and say,
Yeah.
this happened, this is why this has happened, right? But at
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
moment, I am not at all thinking, what am I going to be doing 10 years later, 5 years later, 20 years? I really don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know where life is going to take me. Where am I going to be? What am I going to be doing? But I do know that this engagement that I have with the world will not stop,
Hmm.
because I also do know now that I've been a writer for 23 years that it
Hmm.
is something that's like, I often say this, I often say writing for me is like breath.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's part of what keeps me alive. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there is that connection that I have with words, and I'm truly grateful for the fact that I have it. And I never take it lightly. So I work very, very hard to sort of always feel like I need to earn this. And I
Yes.
know that it's a gift, but it's not a gift that I take lightly at all. And I do work very hard
Hmm.
in these ways, in the way that I am with my interactions, in the way that I am looking at myself, in the way that I am looking at words, in how I read, in what I do. I do put in
Hmm.
a lot of effort because I don't ever want to, just sit back and say, yeah, okay, this is great, this is enough.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think it is, and I don't, and I feel as a writer there is a lot of responsibility that comes, especially in bringing some change in the world, because words really do affect change. And everybody uses words, right? From
Yeah.
your politicians to your actors to your writers to everybody uses words. And if
Yeah, yeah.
there's a way to use it to bring some positive change,
Mm,
and the way the world is right now, then definitely it needs to be done. And
yeah.
I feel that responsibility as well. And I feel that there is a need for it. And so
Mm,
work towards that.
Mm.
I don't have a plan for
right.
10 years
That,
from now, but I
yeah.
do have a plan for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is great. A lot of people say live in the present, live in the moment, right? And enjoy that, and that in itself will grow you.
Yeah,
Um, Difficult to not always think ahead, right? But and following living in the present, that is great. And I mean, you sort of succinctly summarized what this podcast is all about there
Yeah,
in your
exactly. That's what
answer.
I
Is
was about to
like,
say.
yes, it's just listening to that man. That is it. That's why we do have people, coming and talking to us. Is we
Like,
probably are all
you,
in the same boat,
it's
or
just like a
you're learning
page
from
out
others'
of the book.
experience.
Just like a page
Yeah.
out of the book. Exactly.
Yeah. It was just a great point
Yeah, the whole
to come
idea,
make.
right?
Yeah.
When Sujay and I talk about is about stories.
yeah,
And he's miles away, but I'm here in India, he's in UK. Though we talk, but having it put across as a visualization of saying, okay, your day is like this. And when you add
Mm,
more words to it with emotion, like how you put it across, I think it just sinks in more deeper and has a space in your life journey itself automatically. And to that point as well, Sujay, just to let you know that,
mm,
I have done the workshop with Praveena, and there
mm,
has been leaps and bounds of change in my own context of putting in words where and how subtly it makes a difference. your
mm.
your audience coming into picture, what would they convey, but more importantly your emotion into that setting of the context makes a hell lot of
Yes.
change there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's who's trying to communicate, you're trying to communicate, and what you put across makes a lot of a difference. So yeah,
yeah,
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
every story has something, and if it's coming through to you, it definitely has much more importance in your life at that point. Then,
yeah.
Yeah.
And
True. True.
and when you're working with other people's stories, and that's true of fiction, right? I always look at characters as other people. And they are telling me their story, and I happen to have hands to be able to write it, and so I'm writing it. But in the process of listening to somebody else's story and recognizing that it's coming through me, you
Mm,
also automatically are able to look at the other and the self. You know,
mm,
mm.
you can be both objective and subjective at the same time
correct. Yeah,
without losing your sense of self and
Yeah.
without having to pick a side. You don't have to say, I have to always be objective or I have to always be.
Mm,
You
mm,
can't because
yeah,
you're a human being. You have
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
both at all times.
very,
And that's the
very true.
paradox.
Yeah,
Yes.
It is living in the paradox. So you have to be
Mm,
both at the same time and recognize that you are both at the same time. And
correct.
that's okay.
mm.
That's the whole point. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's sort of the journalist in you speaking. You don't just say give one point of view. You give everyone that voice and
yeah,
everyone
you
that.
have to, right? I mean, it's not, otherwise, it just becomes a different version of Praveena each time. And then that's so boring. Who wants to read that? I don't.
Mm.
No, I think that would still make a fantastic and interesting reading each time. Right. Just a side segue as Dhaval was talking about miles. And you've been on both end of those miles, right? You've been in the UK, been in India. So tell us a bit about your journey in the UK. And what impact did that have on you? Right, apart from just the education part, but also living in the UK
Mm.
and then going back to India.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I absolutely enjoyed my time there. It was a very short time, Sujay. So I was there for exactly
Mm,
a year from the date I landed to the day I left, exactly to the day a year. But it
right.
felt like a lifetime Because it also was something that I chose to do completely on my own. So I had already worked as a journalist for about 6 7 years,
Mm.
saved up, and I was clear that this is what I want to do. I want to explore creative writing. I want to explore fiction because, like I said, this dream of wanting to write a story was such a old dream for me, that somewhere I wanted to know, am I even capable of this? Is it something that I can do, or is journalism my life, and should I just accept that? So it
Mm.
was something that I did on my own. I took a loan, I paid back the loan, but it was completely
Right.
a self-driven initiative for me,
Mm.
only because I felt I owed it to that little girl who said she wants to become a writer. So I said, okay, I should
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
And I think the thing that really impacted me, Sujay, was the education system in the UK. I mean,
Mm.
for me in India, it's it's a very spoon-fed system, right? You
Mm.
you just mug up and you vomit in the exam, and by the time I go to the next grade, I have forgotten everything I did in
Yeah.
the previous grade, and then I have to mug up
True.
another set, and then I forget the whole
Mm.
thing, and I go. So by the time I finish school, I
Mm.
actually have retained nothing, right?
Right.
And
Right.
the only thing I have retained is the pressure, the tension, the anxiety, the fear,
Mm.
the marks and the
Yeah.
failing and the exams. That's all I retain, right?
So yeah, all
So
deadline driven.
deadline driven. So I think what I really, and in fact, my first semester in the UK, in my
Mm.
first paper, uh, I failed. So and I
Right.
was shocked. I looked at my professor and said, "Why did you fail me? Like, what do you mean? I've written so well. How can you?" And then he said, "But you didn't refer anything." I said, "But you
Hmm.
didn't you didn't tell me what to refer." Because I was still waiting for the teacher to tell me
Yeah.
what to
To
do.
yeah.
And the
So.
classes in the UK for me were only twice a week, or no, 3 times a week.
Mm.
And I didn't realize that the rest of the time I'm supposed to be studying on my own. I went, I went sightseeing. And I
That
said,
is a massive change. Yes.
let's go for nice long walks in the UK. And I failed. And then he said, I said, but you didn't tell me what to read. He said, but I gave you a reference list. You are supposed to
Mm.
go to the library and see what you want for your work. And that for me was an extremely liberating experience. And to
Mm.
finally understand what does it mean to learn independently, to study independently, I only got it
Right.
there. Of course, I learned after that. And then I spent a lot of time in
Mm.
the library. I figured out, okay, this is the system, right? And it
Mm.
really, really helped me. It sort of shaped my thinking. It shaped my critical skills, the way I analyze something. Even though I've come from a literature background, I've already done three
Mm.
years of English literature in a college in India, but I still did not know how to look
Mm.
at something with a critical eye because I didn't know how to use my own head yet.
Hmm.
I was
Mm.
still relying on what the teacher was asking me to do. And if the teacher said
It
read
was
these
more
two books,
transactional.
yeah. And if they
Yeah.
said read 2 books, I'll read 2 books. And then I'll say, okay, okay, I finished.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to understand that sometimes you need to do more uh, or less,
Yeah.
that was for me
Mm.
a hugely
Shift.
liberating
Hmm.
experience. And I would always be thankful to the UK for that. And of course,
Mm.
the second thing was I lived on my own. So, of course, that's
Right.
again a massive experience to be on my own. I worked in the
Mm.
UK as well.
Mm.
I did like 2 3 jobs so that I could handle my living expenses. And then I moved to this wonderful little independent village. I think the
Mm.
only independent village called Hebden Bridge,
Mm.
and that's the last English village in the UK. So
Right.
I loved living there. I was very happy to be there. It was
Mm.
away from the city. Of course,
Yeah.
Leeds is in Yorkshire, and Yorkshire was wonderful. People are
That
so
is
friendly and so nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
Very, very different from London, where nobody will make eye
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah. You take London out of England and or UK, nothing changes,
Yeah.
right? In terms of how you
And
experience the rest of UK.
the funny thing was my class was so varied. So there were people who were 45 years old, and there were
Wow.
somebody who was 19 years old. And
Mm.
every single person in my class spoke English, of course, but every single person had such a different accent that they could have just been India with like Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, Telugu, Tamil. I was
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
the professor was finding it hard to understand my accent. But
Yeah.
like, I'm not understanding anybody's accent. So that again, I
Uh,
didn't know, right? I didn't even
yes.
realize how varied the accents were. I thought English is spoken one way, British is
Mm.
British, American is American.
Yes.
But I didn't know that British had like
Uh,
15 different ways in which
oh,
English
yes.
could be. Right? That was again a huge learning experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, the jobs that I did allowed me to enter different spaces. Like theatre is very big in Yorkshire, in London. I mean, in UK itself. So I worked
Mm.
with a local theatre company. I worked as a translator for lawyers for those seeking
Mm.
asylum. So
Yeah.
very different kinds of jobs and different experiences again, which is why I always
Mm.
feel that 1 year felt like a lifetime because I really feel like every
Mm.
day I lived a year. It really felt like that. And
Is
also the seasons.
amazing.
To finally
Nice.
understand what is autumn, what is spring, what is summer, winter. You know,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You got it all of the
Coming from
textbook
India,
back
it
into your
is.
life.
in Madras, I only know summer.
Yes,
So I
that
could
is
see the
true.
seasons change, and in winter double when I left the my hostel, it was the sun is not out.
Uh-huh.
When I leave the university, the sun is gone. So, so it's like I go into darkness and then I come back.
Come
And then
on.
in summer double, the sun will not set till 10 o'clock, and then I'm like, what is
Yes.
this? There is daylight.
Should I be sleeping now or should I
Yeah,
be
what should
waking
I
up?
do?
There was always a
And
crisis call
Yeah.
everywhere. Huh?
everywhere, yeah. But I loved snow. My God, Sujay, that was the
That's
first experience of
oh, is
snow
it?
for me.
Yes.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Up
they
in
told
Yorkshire.
me that it was snowing in Leeds after a gap of 10 years. So I said that's
Wow.
for me only they're snowing.
Yes,
So the first,
you should have all the experiences.
yeah, the first night it snowed, I actually ran out bare feet. Uh,
Oh,
and
good Lord.
and then everyone said, "Are you mad? Go and wear shoes. You'll fall sick." I said, "Yeah, yeah."
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
so
That
UK
is
was a
true.
fabulous
Yeah.
experience for me. Uh, but I did know, because you asked me about going there and coming back here. I
Mm.
always knew I would come back to India. Also because having worked in some part-time jobs, I
Mm.
realized that in the UK, everything, the systems are so much in place. There is, at least at that time, there was
Yeah.
very, very little room for the dynamism that India has to offer.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
in India, things change every day. You're thinking on your feet all the time. And I think for me at that age, I really wanted to be in that space of dynamism. Because
Mm.
say if I had worked in the UK, I mean, I would have gone to any, journalism space for a job because that's my experience. And
Mm.
no, I would have fallen into a system that was already very well defined. And I
Mm.
would have had to change myself to fit somebody else's definition.
Mm.
Correct.
And I think I really wanted to be able to create my own meaning. And so I knew I would come back and I did.
Nice.
Right. Right.
Super.
Oh, that is great. Yes.
Man, that's
Yeah.
like a big, input. I think I never knew this side of Praveena at all.
You mean the
Yes.
UK side?
Yeah,
UK.
you can call it the UK one.
the, the Brit sophistication that comes in.
The Brits, yeah.
That is
Nice.
right. It's every like 30, 40 miles and you go into a smaller different county. Like in India, it's a dialect. Here, it's an accent,
Mm.
right?
Absolutely.
It changes so much. Even people here, born, bred and been here for generations, they don't understand each other's, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
and and
true.
people would not have even traveled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people are living in the south of UK, they would probably have never been to Scotland
Mm.
or Wales, right? And they
Yeah.
they don't experience as much as say, someone coming and knowing that you have a limited time that you want to, soak in
I know.
everything.
I went to Wales as well. And I also had this dream, when you're young, at least for now, my children have a very rich resource of Indian literature in their reading, world. Whereas for me, it
Mm,
was all just Enid Blytons and, it was all very British, like the fairy tales and very
Yeah.
European, my upbringing, right?
Western effect. Yeah.
mm.
So Sujay, my biggest desire was to know what a scone tastes like. Okay.
Uh,
And I had this imagination of what a scone is. because
Right.
Enid Blyton describes it in every famous guy.
Yes.
And so that's the first thing I did.
Scone and scream.
When I came to the UK, I said, okay, I'm going to order a scone for myself and see what it is. And my God, I was so disappointed.
I wanted to taste. So
Terrible. I mean, it didn't work for me at all. And I think my imagination of it was so much bigger that
right.
finally when it came, I was like, this is not a scone. Are you sure this is a scone? They were like, yeah,
Shocker.
this is a scone.
Yes.
I said, okay. So yeah, I think for me also
Yeah.
it was wanting to live in a place where if I looked out of the window, I want to be able to see horses running in the
Oh
meadow.
my God.
And I also learned horse riding, Dhaval, when I was
Oh
there,
wow.
because
Oh, amazing.
I had won this little like a competition and I got some money, and so I said, okay, I can
Let's
either
go
learn.
for it.
Yeah, so I got like 4 classes of horse riding out of it.
Nice.
But the Hebden Bridge where I stayed,
Hmm.
one of my classmates was from Hebden Bridge, and so that's how I knew about the place because I went to visit her and then loved it.
Hmm.
So I had to cat sit in her house for a couple of days when she went traveling, and her kitchen looks out into a meadow with a horse in it.
Wow. Wow.
Did I wake up in an Enid Blyton novel now?
I said, chalo, now all dreams fulfilled. Horse from window have seen, stone I have eaten.
Look,
I sat
quintessential
on a horse.
English pilgrimage done.
Done. So
Nice.
whatever was on my checklist, I said, okay, chalo, all
Yes.
done.
Uh,
I can come back
there,
from
there are great. Yeah. Here there are massive debates on whether you put cream on the scone or
Oh,
cream in between the scone, and people can go to wars on that.
everybody told me
It
to
was
try
like
it in different ways because I told them I don't like the scone. They said, no, 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 you didn't eat it
that is
right.
why
You must put, this is exactly what I
it's
heard.
not the scone's problem, and it never is the
Exactly.
scone's problem.
That's true. I tried many versions. I didn't like anything,
Wow.
but
Good
I was
Lord.
funny.
Nice.
Yeah, UK was great.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, the sum total of all your experiences is what makes you, and what carries you forward. So
Absolutely.
that is
Cool.
fantastic. So Dhaval, go
Go
on.
ahead. Go ahead. You had something.
Yeah, I mean, about the going into library and or studying philosophy and things like that. Uh, having read some of your writing, right? You connect your everyday or whom you're talking about to some historical figure or a mythological figure and so on, and relate to their story. And so just give us a bit of a thought process into your writing itself.
So I mean, none of it happens consciously, Sujay, because there is a lot of the unconscious at play when you're writing, because it sort of feels
Hmm.
like you're channelizing somebody else's story and you're putting it out there, right? And this is true of whether it's fiction or non-fiction, because you're still working with.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it's usually what the story itself is asking of, for instance, in non-fiction, you already
Mm-hmm.
have a idea of what you're writing because you're writing for something,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? And you already know that, okay, this is the overall theme, this is the overall, expectation. And so how can I match that expectation
Correct. Yeah.
while
Hmm.
being true to what I am resonating with in that story? So
Right.
it's a little bit of a bridge of both. And
Hmm.
I mean, it's great that you see that I'm connecting it to some kind of, historical or mythological space, which is actually not at all intentional. And I never do. I first of all never thought of it like that.
Right.
So thank you for giving me that interpretation. I shall use it next time. So that's never
That
something
is
that
not it.
I intended in
Hmm.
any way. But the writing process itself for me is a lot of it is dictated by what is the story demanding, what is the story asking out of me, and
Hmm.
what is it that I have to do to meet what the story is asking out of me. So it is a very it's a process that sort of is interactive in that sense, and there is a synergy between me and
Hmm.
the story. and there is a synergy between what is the character or the person I interviewed saying and what
Mm.
am I hearing. Because you say some things and then you hear it in a way that works for you, right? So I'm actually
Yeah.
filtering it with my own, understanding of life, and I'm listening to somebody. So perhaps it's
Mm.
also a lot to do with being able to listen deeper and deeper. So I think my writing sort of grows over time because I work quite consciously on this ability to be able to listen without
Mm.
putting myself there. If
Mm.
even
Mm.
though the irony is I have to put myself there because I'm only writing it.
Mm.
So, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a sort of like a twin process.
Outward and yeah.
I'm hearing it while being who I am, but I'm also hearing it while trying to erase who I am.
Hmm.
And I think
That
that for
is
me is
deep.
the
Yeah.
writing. That's for me the
Mm.
writing process, right?
Right.
I'm constantly working with this: who is Praveena, who is not Praveena, and
Mm.
somewhere between that space, the story exists. And
Mm.
I'm also quite conscious of the fact that I haven't really got the whole story,
Mm.
because you really can't get the whole story. And no novel can tell you the whole story because
Mm.
everything only gives you a glimpse of a particular moment in somebody's life.
Hmm.
And that is true of us as well. We also cannot tell
Mm.
everybody the full story. Um,
Yes.
we also only give a glimpse of what's happened to us in that moment at that point of time.
Correct.
And
Mm.
there is and we say it in the knowledge that either we can have masks to hide what we don't want to say,
Hmm.
or
Mm.
we can remove the masks because we want to say something. But we are also constantly choosing which part of our lives am I going to talk about and which part of
Mm.
my life am I not going to talk about. And that's the same thing for writing as well. What am I going to
Right.
actually put out there, and what am I not
Mm.
saying, even though I know it?
Hmm.
And
Mm.
how is this aspect of not saying informing the choices I make in what I actually say? So both
Nice.
this is a
Right.
process for
Nice.
me. And yeah,
Fantastic.
that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the process is this.
Mm.
How people view it is, of course, everyone tells me something.
Everyone's choice.
So
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm very happy to hear different things.
Hey, so
So,
how
Of
many times
course.
do you really, attempt writing this whatever the article or the subject that you're writing upon? How many times do you really go into it, come out of it, till you fully finally say, yeah, this is what I want to write and this is what it is?
okay. So for me, that is a very it's something that happens through my day, Dhaval. So there is no point in my day that I'm not thinking about the story that I have to finish. Sometimes, of course, the deadline is breathing down your neck, and you're like, oh my god, there's a
Mm.
deadline. Finish, finish, finish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes there is no deadline, but it's still playing at the back of your mind. So there is a
Mm.
constantly a part of me that's thinking of some story or the other, either that I'm not working on or that I am working on, and it's something that happens through my day. And there will be
Mm.
some moment or some experience where it clicks, and then I know that's it. This is what's going to go into the story, and then I write it. So there is a
Mm.
lot of planning that happens before, where I tell myself, okay, research this, research this, research this, and I'm reading, reading, reading. I'm listening, talking, figuring stuff out, but nothing
Yeah.
is sort of sitting right there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But there will come a moment in my day. It could be any part of my day, right? Drinking
Aha.
coffee,
The aha
driving.
moment.
It's I wouldn't even call it
Uh,
an aha moment. I think it's just that
mm.
in my endeavor to find that connection, I think
Mm.
I only hit upon it in a moment where it sort of comes as if it's coming out of the blue. But it's
Hmm.
not coming out of the blue. It
It's
is the
yeah.
that all this work that went in is what's making it come.
Mm.
So aha moment is when I just sit back and I'm not doing anything and I'm just waiting for inspiration to come. Doesn't come like that.
Yes.
Uh, and that's a
Yes.
misconception that most writers have. They
Mm.
think
Yeah.
only when the inspiration strikes I can write. No, it doesn't work like that.
Hmm.
You should be able to write no, irrespective of whether inspiration is there or not. And inspiration itself is something you work on
Hmm.
for
Mm.
ever, right? You work on it all the time,
Yeah.
and there's never a moment that I'm not working on it. So
Mm.
wherever I'm going, there is constantly something at the back of my mind that's filing away some kind of information that I know will come in handy at some point. I don't
Yeah.
know when,
Mm.
but it will come.
Mm.
So I
I,
think we trust that process.
I kind of, I like that point where, writers actually don't need inspiration. They need to just write.
Yeah,
And I just follow this poet lady. She's a lady who's just got similar characteristics like you, Praveena, just like you, okay? She's very, very, the moment she's on the Insta reel, she's alive. Like, she just comes out and she just says, all you want to do is just write for 10 minutes. Just write
Mm.
10 minutes. It could be anything, and she would just give abstract topics. She'd say kite and light kind of a thing. Just take that and just write. You could write whether you're not feeling good about the kite, you're not feeling good about the light, whatever it is, just write. And as you pour
Mm.
out everything out, and then at some point when like you say, it's there through the day lingering, and then you're like, oh wow, okay, that was a point that wanted to come out, and it literally just flows out easily out there. And I kind of, resonated with that because it really brings out so much emotion in that itself. You really connect everything out and you're there. You're just there. You're just
yeah,
there.
yeah. And I think it's also what Sujay said earlier about living in the present, living in the moment. It is that,
Mm.
it's living in the moment is not a conscious thing where I tell myself, okay, I'm going to
Mm.
live in
Yeah.
the moment. It is,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
actually just doing
Being
it. It's
aware. Yeah.
Mm.
actually living it and not talking about living it.
Correct.
Yes.
And I feel a lot of what social media at least has done to our world is everyone
Mm.
likes to talk about it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
everyone is constantly talking about the things they ought
Yeah.
to do or should do or shouldn't do or will do, I may do, but nobody's actually doing it, So there is so much conversation about what should be done that finally you're not doing it because you're so
Yes.
tired of listening to this constant barrage of information of what you should be doing, what you should be doing,
Yeah.
that you don't have energy to do it. So I feel
Mm.
that's something maybe, the flip side of social media is that it has made us all extremely
Yes.
proficient in things we know we should be doing,
Just
but
put it out there. Yeah.
it has completely disabled us from actually doing the things.
Yeah, it's become a tyrant. When you have too many choices, you still don't do anything about it also then.
Exactly, right?
Mm.
So because it's easier to talk about it, right? It's
Yeah.
so much
Yes.
harder to actually do it.
And literally you can start making up your own stories saying that you've done it, but you're not moved an inch on it as well.
Yeah. And the validation you get from a post, my God, you
Oh
can just
God,
put a
yeah.
post saying I did this today, and then 100 people will come and tell you, wow, you're amazing. Then you feel like, oh, I have done something today. But actually you've done nothing but take a picture of your breakfast and put it on social media, you know. So,
True, very true.
Uh,
Mm.
if I take that sort of societal and what media and all that to a level deeper, right, for your experiences, um so I mean, what sort of like cultural or societal expectations have influenced your work or your creativity, and how much of that plays, as you've moved on into your second life, second innings.
um, a lot, I would say, because I think I also grew up in a very tambram house. Um, I grew up with this. I grew up thinking that I'm not casteist, but
Mm.
actually there are many things in my life that I didn't even acknowledge or didn't even realize was actually casteist in how it was because it was so normalized.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I think in my 40s, or I would say somewhere around my 30s itself, I became conscious of this. And
Mm.
I became conscious of this even when I was in college, when I went to Bombay to study. And our professor, very celebrated journalist, writer, Sainath, P. Sainath, he actually
Mm.
came to class and he said, do you all know each other's caste? And we all, very self-righteously said, not at all, because caste is not at all an issue.
Uh,
We don't look at caste. And then he was like, but you should, because you're so privileged that you're not looking at caste.
mm.
That itself is a barrier. So
Mm.
open your eyes and look
Mm.
at things around you, and please be aware of what are the castes around you. Be aware of
Mm.
what does that mean to be in this caste, and what does that mean in life for that person to live like
Mm.
that,
Yeah.
Their
which is
lived
not your
experience.
privileged life. It's very
Yes.
easy for you to sit back and say, oh, I don't look at caste at all, but you should,
Mm.
Mhm.
because
Mm.
if you don't, then that is your privilege speaking. So I think in my 20s, really didn't quite, I mean, I understood it as a concept. I don't think
Mm,
I actually understood it in my life, in how I live it. And I think
mm,
perhaps that has changed for me in, late 30s, my 40s, where I am very, very conscious of what I say, how I do, what I do. And because I know my children are watching and my children are learning from this, and I don't want them to have the same upbringing that I had,
mm,
in the way that I was blind or sort of oblivious to so many things.
mm,
I just didn't. There was no need for me to look at that, right?
Mm.
Because the
mm.
privilege sort of buffeted me in some ways, and I was sort of safe in that bubble.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think in many ways I am looking at even the cultural things that I participate in. I don't. I'm not religious in at all. I'm not a religious person, but I
Mm,
do believe in a higher being. I do believe in a spiritual realm, and I do
mm,
that it guides me in some ways. I just don't like to have a name attached to it or a ritual attached to it, and so I don't follow. I don't
mm,
live in a religious manner, but I do celebrate everything. So we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Diwali, we celebrate Eid.
mm,
We have all of the festivals because, again, for me, it's more important that the cultural life is maintained without
mm.
the tag of religion attached to it, right?
Yeah.
Because culture itself is a very, very powerful tool to understand who you are,
Mm,
because
yeah.
culture is full of things that people have done over time, repetitively, religiously, but not,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but they've done it in a way that all of their energy, life forces is poured into that,
Yes.
and it lives in that land. It lives in the space where it is, sort of celebrated,
Mm,
and it is important to connect to that to be able to understand who you are. And
yes.
for me, because if I don't, again, it all comes back to words for me. So if I don't constantly understand who I am, then
Mm,
how can I keep writing? Otherwise, I will be writing the
yeah.
same thing over and over again, and I
Mm,
don't like to do that. And I don't. If I've written a story a certain way, I make sure that the next time I'm doing it differently, just because
mm,
it's a challenge for me, and I want to see what else can come out of it. So I do think that my cultural life, at least, and especially because
yeah.
I'm from Tamil Nadu, and I'm also very, very proud of the Tamil lineage and the language. I love all things Madras. I love my city, right? And I
Mm,
really,
yeah.
really like what the city gives me, what the city brings to me. And I've constantly been associated with the city because, again, as a journalist in this city, I have gone to so many, many places and met so many people that I
Mm,
really feel this deep, deep connection to this land itself.
mm,
And so for me, it is important to have an acknowledgement of the cultural richness that we have,
mm. Yes.
and to not negate it in this, in this search for something different.
Mm,
You can definitely search for something different, but without negating what has
yeah.
already been there.
Yeah.
So I think
Losing the
what's
path.
changed
Yeah.
for me is that I'm able to hold both better. I
Mm,
can hold my cultural life better now, because
mm,
I think I know now what it gives me. Because I suppose in my 20s and 30s, I was such a, like, I used to rebel in my house. I will not do this. I
mm.
will not come here. We have to go to this temple. No, I will not come. We have to go for this
We've
wedding.
all
No, I
been
will
there.
not come. So
Yes.
it was such a loud, vociferous rebellion in my house that I will not do this. I will not do that.
Yes.
Cannot make me do it. So I think now I kind of appreciate a little bit of why perhaps my parents
Mm,
did it. Maybe they didn't have the conscious understanding. They just followed it as, okay, our elders did it. And every time I asked my mother, why are we doing this? Her
mm.
standard reply was, I never asked, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
That's a
so for
standard
me, it
Indian
was like,
parent.
yeah, exactly. I was like, how can you not know? How can you not ask? So now, as a parent, when my child asks something,
Mm,
sometimes I say the same thing. I don't know because I didn't ask. But I don't
mm.
say it as an end to the conversation. I actually say it as, you know what? Let's find out. I also don't know. You also don't know. Let's figure this out and let's see why.
Yes.
And there is a different way in which I'm bringing that cultural life into my child's life, because
Mm,
I do see the merit of ritual. I do see the merit of repetition. I do see the merit of being connected. forget about spirituality, just the merit of faith.
Mm,
To have
mm,
faith in something, to have faith in life, to have faith in beauty, it's very important. And I don't think
yes.
anyone can navigate this life without that faith. And you are free to call whatever you want that faith, right? You can
Mm,
have a
mm,
name for it, you can pray, you can not pray, but there is some belief. You can have a faith in your garden, you can have faith in a flower,
mm,
a leaf. It doesn't matter. But to just have some faith to say there is something bigger that's happening in the world, and I am not the center of that world. So
yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's important, and perhaps that's for me a change. I would say in
Mm,
this part of my life where I am quite conscious of the fact that actually you're not the center of anything. Humanity
mm,
is not the center of anything. Nothing is the center of anything. It
yes.
is. It is a working together. It is an ecology. It is a system where we all interact with each other. We are dependent on each
Mm.
other, and yet we are independent.
Mm.
Each one
Yeah.
brings
Yeah.
something, and yet we work together.
Correct.
So I think that understanding for me, this sense of community has become very strong.
Mm,
Whereas
yeah.
in the 20s and 30s, it was all about me being independent, free, don't define me,
Rebel.
don't box me. Yeah, totally, right? Anything,
Yeah.
in fact,
The
in my
box
house,
mean things.
in my
Yeah.
house, it's a joke because people used to use reverse psychology on me. Tell her like this, then she will do it.
Then that's, and
So
that we
typical.
all use it on our kids. So
Yeah,
I can
so it's
imagine
like a very
our
typical
parents not
rebellious
doing it. Yeah.
teenage
Uh,
year. And I
yes.
think that, of course, with age and with time, you can look back and say, I really
Yeah.
spent a
Yeah.
lot of time and energy on something that was not required. And
Yes.
I can actually
Uh,
go ahead now into something where there is more meaning, and I can give meaning to what needs to be uh, needs to be defined in some ways, and also
mm,
needs to be created. I feel because in now that you're in copies, and again, like I said right at the beginning, the mortality of life becomes
mm,
how important. You already know that there is something you want to build,
Mm.
but
mm.
what is it that you want to build and how do you want to build it? There's not really much clarity, if you ask me now. I don't know, but I definitely know that
That
something
is.
needs to be built. In what way, what capacity, I don't know. And
Yeah.
perhaps
Yeah.
this is the human trait of wanting to leave a legacy. Yeah.
Legacy. Yes.
Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
Right.
That's.
maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And perhaps
Yeah.
that's the weakness that I have to grow out of. I don't know. But
No,
at
it's
the core,
yeah. No,
that's what.
if that drives you, if that is what makes you experience more, makes you understand more, puts that puts a sort of a condition on you that I need to do more than what I've been doing, right? So
Yeah.
leaving a legacy, I don't think it's a wrong thing. It's when that that is all you want to do, right? I
Yeah.
want to leave this mark, and that is everything else
Yeah.
doesn't matter. That is where I'll push, and maybe that's where things start derailing.
Yeah.
um, and that cultural aspect is sort of, I would say, resonates with the non-returning Indians, right? we and here we celebrate Holi, Diwali, everything a lot
Everything.
more than what we did in our 20s or 30s or back in
Mm.
Yeah.
India, right?
Yeah.
That we rebelled then and all that. Now we want to be part of it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least get our kids to be part of that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Give them the glimpse
See,
of,
yes, what culture they come
yeah.
from, who
Yeah.
are they,
It does become
because
important. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. Because if we when we travel to India or they meet their extended families, they should identify with that as well,
Correct.
right? So yes, and yes, being cultural, being part of that history, part of that society, um, without being religious, all those other connotations. I think that still enriches your life. So that is
Yeah.
that is great. Uh, just to sort of extend on that, right? In your writing, right? How has motherhood changed, or had influenced your writing, right? And I ask this because my wife always says that, she was a pediatrician before, getting married and having a child, and she did a great job, right, as a pediatrician. But now, as a pediatrician, she can truly put herself in that parent's shoe, understand what their anxieties are, and truly understand what words she needs to speak to them, right? Rather than just being very medical and so on. She's able to connect to them at a more human level, right? So yeah, I mean, it comes from that point of view.
I mean, motherhood has, of course, been a life-changing experience. As any parent will,
That is anyway.
any parent
Yes.
will tell you this. And I think, I mean, also for me, it's also single motherhood, right? So it is, we are a divorced couple, and my children grew up with me. We
Mm,
share sort of, not custody, but we share the parenting between the two of us.
mm,
And so it has been a very different experience in that way. Because I
mm,
think even actually this morning I was having a conversation with somebody about how we don't yet have a language in India for divorce.
Mm.
There is no language, or there's no grammar for how people should even interact or talk to somebody who is
Correct.
divorced,
mm,
or children who come from a divorced family. And it's my children actually who would come up and tell me. I told somebody that
mm,
my daughter wouldn't be able to say the word divorced when she was smaller, and so she would say
mm,
divorced. So she would, and then and she would say, my friends will immediately say, "I'm so sorry." Why are they saying sorry? There's nothing sorry, right? I said, yeah,
yeah.
there is, because this is the reaction, right? We always look at divorce as something sad, negative. My
Mm,
God, it's broken home, and we don't. It's a very very old way of looking at things.
Mm.
And whereas my children have actually have grown
mm,
up knowing that it's absolutely okay and normal, and also
mm,
understanding that at least now they have two happy homes,
Correct.
and they have two spaces where they can have a one-on-one time with us, and there are a lot of
mm,
benefits that come from
Yeah.
having this kind of strong relationship with a parent, right? And also
yeah.
there's confusion in the house because they know that in this house these are the rules, in that
Mm.
house those are,
Mm,
and there is a sense of they already have an understanding of boundaries. They already have an understanding of um, how to hold both parents, honestly, right?
mm,
And I think it's been actually a hugely rewarding experience for my children to have had this experience, and to
mm,
already know that it's okay, that
Mm.
it is
right.
not something to be sad about, it's not a bad thing, it's not a horrible thing.
Mm,
Also to understand families come in different ways.
Yep.
Families are
yeah.
made of
Yeah.
Very
different
true.
shapes and sizes, and family is not by blood. It because
Mm,
at least in my world, my friends are actually much bigger, much bigger
mm,
support system for me, and so they are
mm,
more family to me than my own family. So that also my children understand. So they already
right.
know, okay, this is where I have to go if I need this. This is where I have to go if I need that.
Yeah.
So there is already this healthy way of growing up, and more
Mm,
importantly, healthy way of looking at relationships. Instead of growing up in a toxic house, at least they
mm,
can see that okay, it's not that love didn't exist at a point. It did, but also it changes because we have many
mm,
conversations about this. How did it change? Why did it change? When did it change? Uh,
mm,
it's I think these are all important conversations for children to have, so that when they have their own relationships, they also know what they should be okay with and should not.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
To understand when, and without villainizing anybody. Nobody is
Mm,
villain, nobody is a bad person. It's just who you are, and it
Yeah.
is
yes.
just what happened, and it works for you
Mm,
sometimes, it doesn't work sometimes,
Yeah.
and both are okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So I think this part of my life, dealing with single motherhood, especially they were very
mm,
young children when I got divorced.
mm,
It was of course my own anger to deal with, my own inability of bringing up two small children, not
mm,
understanding why are they taking up so much of my time, and I am having no time for myself. And
yeah.
also to have written, I used to say this a lot when they were younger, that I'm constantly writing on borrowed time
Mm.
because
Mm,
time was just not mine anymore. It
Yeah.
was completely taken over by them. Uh,
right.
I also do acknowledge that if not for the fact that they didn't take up that much of my time, I don't think I
Mm,
would have written my book at all. And because I knew I had only this much time, I really made use of it.
Right.
And so
Right.
sometimes when the children are not here, like when they go to their father's house, I actually don't know what
Mm.
to do with my day. I'm like, oh, oh, this much freedom has come in my day. Now what should I
Overwhelming.
do?
All of a sudden, so much.
All of a
Yes.
sudden, but when they are in the house, I am so good. I'm
Yeah.
so productive with my time because I already know there is only this much that is earmarked for me.
Correct.
So
Mm.
I say it's both a gift and not a gift. It's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still don't know what reality is like. If I didn't have children, would I have been a different kind of writer? I most certainly would have. Would I
Yeah.
have written differently? Yes. Would I have written more? I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe I would have.
Mm.
Maybe I would have written less. I don't know about
Mm.
that. But it
Yeah.
has completely changed my entire relationship with writing after I became a mother. Because I think
Mm.
I also com- let go of this picture that you have of a writer sitting in a cottage in England
Yeah.
with the horses outside there in Madras.
You always come back to London and UK.
Yeah, you have this picture, right? Sometimes
Yes.
Yeah, it
you
is.
read
It
about,
is.
and
Yeah.
then I realized that every experience I've read about a writer is a male writer
Okay.
uh,
Mm.
who always had a wife doing everything at home. And so the
Mm,
Yes.
male writer was able to sit with a glass of whiskey or a cigarette and look out the window.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my example is not that. And
Mm,
as a female writer, there are so many
Mm.
other things you have to look after.
correct.
Yes.
And many times I used to joke saying, "I wish I had a wife who would."
Correct.
To do
Actually,
all
that also is a problematic statement because then we just assume it's the wife's job to do
yes.
it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
actually it's not, right? It's both parents.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So
Yes.
anyway, as a single mother, there is a lot of things that have to be taken care of. A lot of mind
Mm.
space goes into many things that have to be looked after. And from that to earmark some time for creative work is actually quite a struggle, to
Yes.
be very honest. And it's not easy at all.
Mm.
And yet, I am quite grateful for the fact that I am still able to write, I am still able to create the mind space, and I'm still able to do it is actually
That.
quite important for me that it still
Mm.
exists. Like I'm grateful for the fact that at least there is that little moment of my time where I can do 20 words a day, maybe if I'm lucky. uh, or I can suddenly do 2,000 words
Yeah.
a day. I don't know. But it's just good for
That.
me to know that it exists. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would I would say motherhood has changed me, of course, and changed the way I look at the world because now I'm also looking at
Mm.
how can I change the language around divorce. In fact, that's
Mm.
my next book or one of the books that I'm working on is really on
Mm.
this. Can we give a language to single motherhood? Can we give a language to divorce?
Nice.
And can
Mm.
we create a space for future generations
Yeah.
where even schools and hospitals and everywhere, even in the form, I wish there were ways in which they would redo all of this. And even in schools where they would talk differently about families, it doesn't have to be mother father.
Mm.
It can just be family. You don't have to say
Family.
ask your
Yes.
father,
True.
ask your mother. It can just say
Yeah.
ask your family. And
Correct.
whoever
Yeah.
is your
Yeah.
family is your family, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't
So
need to be so pressurizing when
it
somebody
doesn't.
filling up the form.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's something I do feel passionately about,
Nice.
Mm.
and of course it came out of motherhood only. Otherwise, where I will be having this conversation.
Hey, on that note,
Certainly.
just this question is since you're in this chapter of your life or this milestone of your life where you're already 44, what's something that you're curious about for your next future years ahead
What am I curious about in what sense, Dhaval?
in the future, your near future?
Like, what am I looking forward to?
Yeah, more like what you're looking forward to.
I am definitely looking forward to more books that I
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to I'm actually looking forward to creating a space for language itself. I do think
Mm.
we've entered a new world
Hmm.
where language is being completely twisted and changed and being used in all kinds of ways that it did not originally was not intended for.
Okay.
And we
Mm.
also are living in a world where we have uh, alternate facts, and we have and
Yeah.
we have a whole algorithm created only shows
Mm.
what we want. So
Hmm.
it is
Yes.
actually shaping our thinking and making it so narrow-minded
Correct.
that we have forgotten what it's like to have a rounded perspective to anything. And
Mm.
that's why we are so polarized in how we are. It's my opinion and only mine matters, because your whole algorithm is telling you that is the only opinion that
That is
matters.
it.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think
Validation.
I feel like for me in the next few years, I want to be able to create the correct space for language and correct
Mm.
understanding. Okay, maybe correct is not even the word that I should be using, but
Mm.
perhaps a more healthy way of understanding language and
Mm.
a healthy way of your own relationship to language, which is what I do in my
Mm.
workshops, which is what Dhaval talked about, is to help everybody have that unique relationship, because you don't have to be a writer to be writing. Everybody
Mm.
writes.
Yeah, everybody
Everybody
writes.
should
Yes.
be
True.
writing. It's a life tool. It's a life ally. It's a friend for life. And
Correct.
everybody
Yes.
should know how to do it. Some of us may say, I want to make it a craft and take it forward. That's different.
Mm.
But we all
Mm.
confuse writing with craft instantly. If I'm writing, I have to publish.
Mm.
There's nothing
Yeah.
like that. You can just write for yourself, for your own life, and for the interactions you have in your life. We are sending
Mm.
WhatsApp messages every day. We're writing emails. We're writing presentations. We're always writing. So
Yes.
there is nobody in this world who's not writing. Everyone's writing.
Mm.
But can we have a space where we have a healthy understanding of what words mean? Maybe
Mm.
that's what I'm looking
Correct.
forward to as I go ahead, including my for my own self and for in how I
Everybody
teach, in the
uses it.
workshops I do, in the way I take it forward. That's probably what I.
Mm.
Nice. So looking forward to
That is, yes,
it.
changing the way of the world with words.
Leaving the legacy as well.
The mark. Bra was here.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. I think you also resonate with that point of Sujay and my the movie Shawshank Redemption, which is so perfect, where he says, what was his name? I forgot the character's name in the end of the movie.
Which movie?
And Andy
Andy.
or
Andy was here. Yeah.
Andy
In Toy
Dufresne. Yeah.
Story.
No, in Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
Shawshank.
Shawshank Redemption. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was like Pra was here. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we just having a few minutes at hand. I don't want to squeeze in too many things around. So the
Yeah.
last question, I think would be to aptly say, at this phase in time of yours, and where you are in the 40s, uh if this had to have a title, what would you call this as?
A title for my 40s. Ah, that puts me on
Yes.
a spot, Dhaval.
The title for the book. Yes.
I think I would go with Pra was here, because I do feel not. I mean, yes, it's a joke. But it's also not a joke. Uh, I would say Pra was here.
Yeah.
How
Mm.
in Google Maps it always tells you you are here.
Yes.
Yeah, and then from there it tells you where you have to go. And
Wow.
I feel like there is something in this understanding of Pra was here, and that could mean many things. Like Pra was here in this podcast, Pra is here in her room, and in the world
Mm.
right now. It helps me know, okay, I have a starting point now. Where can I go from here?
Wow.
And every time I say Pra is here, it's actually a starting point for me. I can
Yeah.
again
Beautiful.
start again, and
That,
Beautiful.
that is. Yes. I'm here and I'm going somewhere,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
I'll meet
exactly.
you there.
Yeah, correct.
Amazing.
It
That is that is amazing. That
that's
is a note for
that's like let's
yeah.
spin it out here.
That is you sign in the end, right?
Sign off.
Yours truly. I was
I was here.
here,
Amazing, amazing.
and I'll meet you there.
Nice. Yeah.
Good.
But thank you, guys.
We
Thank
got
you
a
so.
punchline
Uh,
for the podcast.
I
Yeah.
know, but thank you for doing this, because I think a lot of the things that I have said here or what you've asked, I've actually not really verbalized it till now. So it's really nice to have the space to do it, and it's such a great idea, and I'm so happy.
Hmm.
Thank you for the amazing questions that you asked, which opened up so many different avenues for this conversation, and it really, really was very satisfying for me to be able to know that, okay, I also have some thoughts. I also
You
think
have,
about
you have
it.
lots of thoughts.
You
You made a
were like a
craft out of
book
your
itself.
thoughts. So I,
Very good.
I think that's the understatement.
So thank you for this opportunity.
Hey, thank you for coming
Yeah,
on the
thank.
show as well. It really, helped us, open up many other doors as well
Yeah,
for the future.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for being there. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experiences, and in some ways validation for some people,
Yeah.
right? As we spoke about, that we are in the same boat, or we may be different. We can learn from others, and that is why we are doing what we're doing.
And that's the essence of
Thank you
this
so
as
much.
well. So totally.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Thank
talk
you.
to you soon. Take
Yep.
care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.